Hello, everyone, and welcome to the On Air podcast with your hosts, Stephen Hudson, Paul O'Flaherty, and David Gall. The On Air podcast is the official podcast for Geek Dimensions and everyone living a geek's life. Hello, everybody. This is Stephen Hudson from Geek Dimensions, welcoming you back for another episode of our mighty fine geek-oriented podcast. Tonight it's just going to be myself and Paul. Unless DeGaulle comes in at a later point, we'll pull him into the call. But for now, it's just me and Paul, two podcasting buddies from way back when. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, we're showing our age at this point.
Yeah, I guess we don't want to do that, eh? No.
We've been podcasting together since before I lived in the U.S., so...
Yeah. I think you were living in Denmark.
Oh, that's going back 6 or 7 years. I'm 4.5 years in the U.S. I was 2 years in Ireland before I moved here. We were podcasting a good while together while I was in Denmark. So probably kept podcasting together for over 8 years, I would hazard a guess.
Yeah. Wow.
8 years podcasting, man.
We're almost the granddads of the biz.
At this rate, yeah, we're getting there. It's...
Well, unlike our previous endeavors in the podcasting world, we sort of do Geek Dimensions together and with a couple other people where we basically just sit around and we talk about some of the geekier type of news items that cross our desks during the week.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
this is an opportunity to geek out. We do other podcasts. They're a lot more topical, political, whatever. This is the opportunity to just get back to our roots and just talk about the things that enjoy us, that we enjoy really, which is tech.
Yeah.
And being nerds, geeks, whatever you want to call us.
And really, you can't be any more of a geek than Minecraft developer Notch. Like he's got to be about as neck beard as they come.
I wish DeGaulle was here to talk about him because DeGaulle hates him.
Oh, he does. He does with a passion. But see, the basic story is the fact that Microsoft is in the works or in talks to buy Minecraft or Mojang.
Why?
Why? I don't know why.
Okay, look. Mojang did Minecraft. And Minecraft was wildly successful for an indie game. Ridiculously successful. Successful enough that I just rebought it, for the Xbox One. Even though I already had it for the kids on the 360 and we got all the packs and all that sort of stuff. Minecraft is not something I've ever gotten into all that much personally because I don't have the time.
I have neither.
But, Mojang really, or Mojang, however you want to pronounce it, have done nothing
but
since
Minecraft.
They've worked on a few indie games to the best of my knowledge, but without any success. Notch has done nothing with Minecraft since pre-2012. Why would Microsoft be ponying up $2 billion? The IP on this isn't worth that. And there can't be that many users out there that don't already own a copy of Minecraft. So it's not like, we'll buy the rights and we'll sell it and we'll make money. No, everybody and their grandmother has Minecraft.
Okay, now this conversation did come up in TeamSpeak the other night, the other day when this news broke, and one of the people in there asked the same question, why? And the only response that I could basically come up with was brand recognition, brand coolness, and being the age demographic that Microsoft wants to bring into the fold.
No, it's not worth $2 billion.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's worth $2 billion, but that is basically the only thing I can think of that would be a reason.
Here's a hat tip from Microsoft. You want some brand recognition, all right? You want to get into 16-year-olds. Let's use that $2 to get some exclusivity on some that $2 billion to get some exclusivity on some of the biggest upcoming games that are coming out, right? Imagine, all right, what did last Call of Duty game make? $1 billion?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
All right. So imagine Microsoft comes along and they say, right, EA, here we go, man. Just, we're not going to announce it until actual launch, right? But the next Call of Duty game, only on Xbox One.
Well, did you see what happened with Destiny? Okay, Sony had a deal with
the advertising deal where Microsoft couldn't market the fact that Destiny was coming on Xbox One, so they made little like perfume bottles.
Yeah. I thought that was incredibly brilliant.
That was an interesting way around it. That was kind of awesome. But no, I mean, getting back to it, like $2 billion could buy you a lot of cool, right? $2 billion could buy you a lot of look. Throw $1 billion at exclusivity for games on your system, or here, how about this, right? Let's knock $100 off the cost of the Xbox. How many Xboxes could you sell at $100 cheaper? For $2 billion?
Okay.
That's a lot of brand recognition right there. Brand that people are going to play with over and over and over and over and over again.
Okay, then the same argument could be said that why they bought Skype for the price they bought it for. The IP, the brand recognition. They paid $8 billion for them.
Skype is a different argument. Skype was all about users. Skype was all about a means into business, and then they integrated Skype into Link and so on and so forth. Skype was a platform, a platform which they haven't done a lot with, to be honest. But Skype was a platform purchase to strengthen their business portfolio. I struggle to see. I did read a post somewhere today about the whole Microsoft buying Mojang, and they were trying to justify it from from a platform perspective. But there's no platform here. And Microsoft doesn't have a good track record of buying external game development houses either and integrating them in. Now, is this confirmed or is this rumor?
Okay, there is nothing that I've read so far has Microsoft or Mojang come out and said, yes, we are talking.
All right, well then why are we talking about it? Because it doesn't matter. It's not important. Look, back in 2012, Notch was saying that right?
Yeah.
It's 2014 now. All I can say is I cannot see a reason why.
One of the reports I said that it was actually Mojang who came to Microsoft asking if they wanted to do a deal.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but they're not going to get. It's not worth $2 billion.
I can't see why. But then,
or maybe they think it's worth $2 billion because Facebook paid $16 billion for a feckin' chat app. I don't know. Are we in a bubble again? I think we might be.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. And here's why Microsoft cannot buy them. All right? It's really, really simple. Because if AT&T and Verizon have their way, nobody will have fast enough internet to play online games.
True enough. I cannot believe, when I saw this, actually, I shouldn't be surprised. I should not be surprised. But apparently, AT&T and Verizon can agree on one thing. Broadband is not 10 megabits per second. That's too fast. It should be 4 megabits per second.
Yeah, no. Okay, so in 2010, the FCC changed its definition of what minimum broadband speeds should be. They used to be 200 kilobits downstream, and they moved it to 4 megabits downstream and 1 megabit upstream.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And under that definition, they found that 94% of Americans had access to broadband. But times they are changing, and they have on. In respect to the rest of the world, America's broadband services are shit poor and shit slow.
Yep.
The FCC are changing the definition. They're saying it's outdated, and they want to raise it to 10 megabits per second downstream, and whatever the upstream will be, I assume it'll be 2 or something like that, right? And AT&T and Verizon are coming out and saying, no, people are getting by fine with 4 megabits. Look, they do not want to invest in infrastructure.
No, they don't. They don't at all.
They want to charge you multiple times for the same piece of data.
Yep.
Now, if they can get the FCC to keep it at 4 megabits, then they can advertise that we're advertising fast broadband. I mean, the amount of shit I get through my door saying, upgrade, get our fast broadband service. And I look at the speeds and I'm like, really?
Yeah. Canada's actually probably worse off than even the States. But one of the arguments too, or one of the things that's being said, the one reason why AT&T and Verizon are really fighting this change in terms is that they're also fighting against being declared a utility.
Well, it's that too, right? But here's the thing, right? If they change the minimum definition of broadband to 10 megs a second, which they should, in fact,
yes.
It's probably too low. Only 8.4% of Americans will be classified as actually having broadband. None of these companies will be able to say that they're broadband providers.
No.
Right? Now, they don't want to upgrade. They want everybody to believe that they're happy on 4 megs. But I'll tell you why. This podcasters all around the country, all around the globe, could not do these podcasts on a 4 meg 1 meg upstream connection. It just couldn't be done. I mean, yes, this goes out as an audio podcast. That's fine. But we have 3 video streams normally when we're doing this, right? We have simultaneous 3-way Skype, right? Can't do that.
No.
I'm in here. I have supposed to be 20 something down, but typically I get about 18 to 20 down. And I get about 2 up. And we see, 2.5 up. I'll be doing something during the show, and I'll open something in the browser, and I will see the effect on what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's clearly not fast enough. Now, if you're talking about, right, you want broadband, you want businesses to adopt broadband, you want businesses to have in-house VoIP solutions, right? You're not going to do an in-house VoIP solution on a 4 megabit broadband plan. You are not. Okay. Maybe if you have 1 or 2 users, but if you've got more than 4 people in your office and you want them all to be on the phone at the same time, that's not going to work.
No. I see. One of the things I just found out the other day here myself. The thing is, if they do manage to get the FCC to go that route, anybody with a DSL connection is no longer broadband.
Yeah, broadband, and that's the way it should be.
Like I know with myself, I'm lucky. I get 12 down, but I don't even break a meg up. And I'm
so grainy half the time when we're doing
exactly. And that's like I have to upgrade my service soon. I have to move to a cable service because I cannot do business this way. And so I can imagine what it would be like for people that are running a big business trying to, use an existing service that is supposed to be broadband and it's not.
Look, I work with a lot of businesses and, a lot of them started out with PBX systems for their phone lines and that sort of stuff. Okay. But even moderately small businesses would say 9, 10 employees. I that want to switch to a VoIP solution. 4 megabits isn't going to cut it. 10 megabits isn't going to cut it. You're talking about at least a 25 megabit connection down so that you can be, because we don't just use the VoIP solution over the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are browsing. There's backups going on. You're streaming music. Broadband. Look, people have to sort of wake up here in the US, right? Businesses, and realize, right? We get bent out of shape about stupid fucking things, but nobody really goes out there and fights for what they should be fighting for. Right? Broadband is one of those things that you should be fighting for. Broadband has been classified. Internet access has been classified as a basic human right. by the United Nations. Okay. America has piss poor connection speeds in comparison to the rest of the civilized world. Not only do we have piss poor connection speeds, but we pay considerably more for those piss poor connection speeds than nearly everybody else does. And the reason is because you have not a monopoly, an oligopoly here.
Yes.
Right? These companies are essentially monopolies in the areas where they
operate
because they don't really compete with each other. And the fact that you have two companies at the same time coming jointly to the FCC and saying, well, really, people get by on 4 megs. People get by on 4 megs because you make them get by on 4 megs.
Doesn't make it right.
It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it efficient. It doesn't make it proper. And you're not even going to be streaming a decent video. You can't even stream HD at 4 megs, right? You need at least a good, solid 5 megs. And here's the problem, right? Whenever these companies come and they offer you, we'll give you a 4 meg connection, or we'll give you a 25 meg connection, you are not ever getting that speed. If you're lucky, you will get 70% of that speed.
Yep.
If you're lucky, you'll get that.
Well,
heaven forbid when everybody else in the neighborhood is online at the same time.
I'm supposed to get 16 down, and I spent all night, large part of last night with one of the techs on the phone, and he says, really, all of the best you're going to be able to get is 14.
Yeah. I mean, I think in here where I am is 25 down on paper. And yet 16 to 18 typically, and occasionally you'll get a burst of 20.
Yeah.
So, but what's really interesting to me is that these two companies, because these companies aren't allowed to collude, they're not allowed price fix legally, all that sort of stuff, but yet they both come to the FCC at the same time and say, it's got to be 4 megs. And the answer is really simple. We don't want to upgrade our network. We make huge profits off the existing infrastructure, right? It doesn't even cost us much in the grander scheme of things to upgrade. But we make such vast profits that it's better for us to artificially keep speeds lower, complain about things like congestion, double charge for data caps, double charge for other types of data, charge providers to bring data into our network, like Netflix, etc. Data, by the way, which you and me as end users are already paying for. That's what people seem to forget in these arguments, is that when I hand over my $100 a month to Comcast, which is about whatever it is, right? When I hand over my $100 a month to Comcast, I am paying to access the data that I want at the speeds that they advertise, right?
Yep.
Not the data that they decide I'm going to be allowed to have because some other company isn't paying them more money to be double dipped. No, I'm paying for that data. I'm paying for Netflix. I'm paying for the YouTube data that comes through their pipes. So this whole having other providers pay to enter their network is utter bullshit. But again, it comes back to them. They have the oligopoly.
Yep.
And as long as they continue to have that, this shit will continue to happen. What they need to do here is they need to force competition on the market. Okay? They need to bring in other providers. They need to offer tax incentives for other providers to come in and compete. And then they need to take the same model that they took in the UK, which is when BT, I think it was BT, became too big. They owned all the lines. They basically said to them, you know what? You have to rent your lines.
Well,
You have to do it at competitive pricing. So basically, all these companies had to set up other companies that would manage the lines, and then they would rent the lines off, including to their parent company. So that the new providers coming in wouldn't have to make the ridiculous investments in infrastructure to get started, but could start building out infrastructure later.
Well, it's like it's the same up here. Like in Canada, you're basically dealing with 3 companies that own everything. One, Bell owns Bell and and Rogers and Shaw, they own all the lines, cable, hardwire, you name it, telephone. They own them all. But in Canada, there is a law that says you have to provide wholesale access to third-party companies. You have to by law. And that's why you get companies like TechSavvy, who I will champion until my last days. They're an awesome company. They're a third-party company. They actually give me a better speed and better price than Bell.
Over the same network. Yeah.
Yeah, same network.
And that's what they need to bring in. That's what they need to do here in the US. But, as I've said on many a podcast, and I probably say it at least every 5 episodes, if not more, one of the big problems with that sort of thing happening in the US is that we have a lobbying system.
Yeah.
And that lobbying system allows money and favors to trade hands. Donations, they like to call them here.
Yeah. Lobbying,
but in the rest of the world, they call it fucking bribery.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as politicians are being driven by the dollar and are only, and this is not just the US problem, okay? Okay, the sort of whole lobbying thing is primarily a US problem, but in terms of politicians in general, as long as politicians are worrying about who is paying their bills rather than worrying about the public that they represent,
yep,
then nothing will ever happen.
Okay, what do you make of this story out of England, the BBC? ISPs should assume heavy VPN users are pirates.
I hope whoever made that statement from the VPN from the BBC gets fucking fired.
I can't believe that.
I always thought that the BBC was a fairly forward-looking fucking company.
Yep.
They make great strides in terms of their journalists, in terms of, they recently implemented a policy whereby they would not give 2 sides to a story if one of the sides was talking about made-up hokum, climate change. There is no lack of consensus here, right? There's not necessarily 2 sides to a story. Just because somebody has an opinion doesn't mean you necessarily need to put it up. Let's do the news, right? The BBC should know better. The BBC should know that just because you have a VPN in this day and age does not mean that you are a pirate, okay? It can mean anything. Okay, it can mean you use encrypted services, fine. You use them for personal security. You use them for privacy. You use them because if you're transmitting data that you're legally required to keep encrypted.
Yep.
There's a ton of stuff. It's like even my phone. I have to have my phone encrypted at all times, even though I don't handle patient data. But, I've got a lot of client data and who knows?
Yeah.
My phone has to be completely encrypted and the whole lot. It's the same. I use a VPN all the time. We use encrypted tunnels all the time. It makes sense. It's smart networking. Look, I know the BBC has a problem with fucking piracy because, I think the big thing here was that Doctor Who script or something got out early, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. A Doctor Who script got out early. Fix your problem. Fix your internal leak.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, I can't believe that this actually came out, because everything that I've been following along with the BBC, I agree with you. They are, or I thought they were, one pretty forward, technologically savvy company. This smacks of someone in the C-suite getting a donation for their home in Spain, to make it, because this makes no sense for given what they've been doing with the the iPlayer and everything else as far as putting their stuff on the web, a lot of it for free and so on and so forth. To be making a statement like that just doesn't mesh. I don't get it. I really don't understand what's going on with that one. I don't know.
Basically look, It's like anybody else. They want to control their intellectual property, and that's fine. Then make sure it doesn't get leaked.
Yeah.
All right? But let's not brand everybody on the internet as a pirate, as a criminal, just because you can't see what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, speaking of seeing what you can doing,
let's stop right now any fucking talk of holding ISPs responsible for what their users do.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because the second you get into that, it's game over, man. It's game over for everybody. Say goodbye to the internet.
Yeah. Everything will get locked down. Now,
while we're talking about this, can we just go back very quickly to the whole Verizon and Comcast thing?
Yeah.
Just one thing that really, really struck me about this, right? If they're not going to upgrade their network, if they're, passing law, if they want broadband to be classified as these piss poor speeds, it's fucking unpatriotic, man. I hate to say it, it's fucking unpatriotic.
Oh,
right? That is how you squeeze every last penny out of the populace, and you ensure that companies cannot compete, whether it's a small company starting in somebody's garage or, cash-strapped startup, cannot compete. You cannot have the next Google, the next Facebook, the next Twitter, the next Etsy, the next any fucking thing. Because the services aren't there. And if you want the services, you'll have to pay extortionate amounts of money.
Yep. Yeah.
And
I like unpatriotic. That's actually a good analogy. One of the things we've been talking about in the past has been Microsoft being in court over data in Ireland and the judge basically saying you've got to hand it to them. This week, it just came out that Microsoft has made a deal with the U.S. government that they will be held in contempt. And the reason they're doing it is so that they can now appeal the case.
We see that this confuses me a lot, right? Because if Microsoft is challenging the order and they're allowed to challenge it in court, how are they held in contempt?
I don't know the legal ranking.
I don't think they need to be held in contempt in order to challenge the order. Yes, they didn't comply with it. That's fine.
That I think is the contempt charge.
But no, you see, you can't be held in contempt if you're questioning the legality of it. Moving it up to a higher court means that until there's a ruling, the legality of this question is unsure. Right? I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but, we've all heard of Apple and Microsoft and other companies challenging other court orders, and they don't get held in contempt for it. It's just we challenge it, therefore it goes to court.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand why it's.
I mean, basically, what you have here is you have the government saying, "Okay, you must do this," and we're saying, "No, you can't do that. That's illegal."
Yeah.
And the government is saying, "Well, you've got to do it anyway. You're going to be in contempt." Well, no, we'd actually like a higher court to decide on this. Well, you're in contempt of court, and we're going to punish you.
Okay, it's okay here.
They're not saying we're not going to comply. They're saying we need a ruling from a higher court, and if they say yes, then we'll comply.
Okay, it is a case with big. I'm quoting this from the Ars Technica piece. It is a case with big implications, but it got mixed. It got mired down in procedural confusion after U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska sided with the government. Microsoft stated that it would still not hand over the email and would continue to an appeals court. The government said that if Microsoft wanted to do that, it should be held in contempt. So it's what's happening.
I thought in this country, you had the right to appeal to a higher court.
Well, it looks like that might not be so true. They can appeal to a higher court, but what the government is saying is by doing that, you are being held in contempt of the lower court. And Microsoft's big said, okay, fine. We're in contempt.
Yeah, and I'm supportive of and proud of Microsoft for doing that. You know, it's the right thing to do. It's this whole contempt of court thing is getting me here. I think that sets a dangerous precedent, because if you can say, right, once you agree that you're in contempt of court, then there's the possibility of sanctions for being in contempt of court. That opens up a nasty bag of worms that runs the potential of, okay, well, you don't agree with this court order and you want to appeal it, fine, you can appeal it, but while you're appealing it, you're in contempt and we're going to lay sanction A, B, C, Y, and D. Now, they're not laying sanctions right now, but it opens up that
you're right.
precedent.
Yeah.
And I wonder if for smaller companies without the cash and the lawyers to defend themselves against this kind of thing, that could be a really that could be the kind of thing that would make you just go, well, you know what? There's a possibility here that we could get sanctions while this is going to court and we could be in trouble. Let's just comply because we can't afford
easier. That. Yeah, it's easier. Well, the other thing is I wonder how, like, you and I talked about it, like in past shows, we've talked about this story, and I think both you and I agree this is going to be something that's going to end up going to the Supreme Court. Now,
because the data is held in another country, the data is held in Europe. There's bound to be Europeans' data in there, and then that makes them run afoul of a whole ton of treaties and agreements and international law that the U.S. government is just trouncing all over right now. The U.S. government seems to think, okay, you're Microsoft, therefore you're an American company, therefore we want your shit from all over the world. That's not how it works.
No.
Because that's how it works. Expect every other country to be like, you have an office here in the UK, and the UK has tried it too, and it's not working for them. You have an office here, therefore I want all your data from the US. Give me access to all that data. Think they'll do that? I don't hope. US government wouldn't let it stand.
No. Okay, let's get to some lightheartedness and deal with the really big story this week that broke. That we finally, after all this time, we have an Apple Watch. Folks, I'm looking at a good friend of mine who just is like, what the fuck?
All right, look. The sheeple will run out and buy this shit in droves.
This is going to probably be one of the most profitable product launches Apple has ever had.
I really do not mind the idea of a smartwatch.
It makes no sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. But it makes no sense when that smartwatch is reliant on the phone in my goddamn pocket for functionality.
That's
now,
why I
if you give me a smartwatch, because I like wearing watches, you can give me a smartwatch that does half the things my phone do?
Yeah, but okay, wait a second.
Phone, I'll be a very happy chappy. I'll wear your smartwatch all day because now I don't have to carry a phone. It's on my wrist. It's nice and easy. But I'm getting stuff on my watch, and then I got to take out my phone to actually do something.
And the thing about the Apple Watch is you have to have the iPhone 6 or iPhone 6 Plus.
Here's the next point, right? It's bad enough. We've been complaining about battery life on our phones forever. It's bad enough I've got to plug my phone in every couple of days, right?
Every couple of days?
Yeah.
Every day?
I don't use my phone besides talking on it. I tend to not use it that much. I use my tablet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or as you can see, sitting here, I am surrounded by screens. I mean, why would I ever pick up my phone most of the time?
I would use mine, but there's a crack going right across it.
That's what you get for hitting yourself in the face with it. Well, look, there's an excuse to actually buy a pure Android device.
I'd love to, but I can't. I don't have the money.
But One, if a phone could do, if a smartwatch could do what it needed to do without requiring me to have a phone as well, I'd probably buy one and ditch a phone. If a smartwatch didn't actually require charging every damn day, I mean, what am I supposed to wear on my wrist and do the stuff with on the phone if it's on a charging dock or charging somewhere? That's fucking pointless.
I'm sorry that this whole, like, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of what they call wearable computing.
So
it's an awesome idea, but the fact is we are nowhere near wearable computing era. Nowhere near it. Your smartwatch, Samsung did the same thing with the Galaxy and their watch. You had to have the Galaxy 3 or the Galaxy Note or whatever the hell it was for you to be able to get full usage out of their watch. They said it would be spreading to other versions of Android as well. Yeah.
And, from a productivity point of view, this is the kind of thing that would annoy me, right? I spend hours every day in my email.
How do you do email on a watch?
I don't want another thing stressing me out, telling me, oh, you've got email on my wrist all the time. I don't want to be stressed out by something telling me, you've only walked 4,000 steps today, you fat bastard. I don't need that kind of stress. And I don't need another device that is expensive that I have to worry about on my wrist. I'm wearing a G-Shock on my wrist, right? My wife will tell you, I collect watches, right? I love watches. I wear a G-Shock to work because the thing is damn well near indestructible. If I had one of these watches at $300 on my wrist, I would be scared to death of damaging the goddamn thing. It would stress me out.
Okay, listen.
I want a smartwatch. I want a smartwatch. Listen now, universe. I want a smartwatch that I don't have to charge every day. I want a smartwatch that is damn well near indestructible like a G-Shock. I want a smartwatch that will track the stuff I want it to track, but only when I tell it to damn well track it. Will show me my email, but only when I tell it to show me my email. I want a smartwatch that does what my phone does, so I don't have to carry a damn phone. One or the other, not both. I'm not going to be walking around with $1,000 worth of electronics on me all the time between my watch and my phone, worrying that I'm going to damage one or the other.
Or get mugged.
Here's
okay, but on a wider...
If I want to track my workouts, I can do it for I can buy a $15 running watch or a pedometer or any of the handful of any of the other smart devices that you wear on you that track your workouts. I don't need a $347 phone watch just to do that.
See, okay, let's just spin this out. It's a little bit of the wider wearable computing. The Oculus Rift, okay, to me is about as it's pointless. What is the use? It's got a very narrow focus of use. Gaming, maybe. That's about it. Because I'm sorry.
Possible remote medical applications.
Okay, now that's coming from someone who's in that biz, and yeah, I now that you say that, yes, I can see that to a point. But are you going to be sitting in an office wearing one of these to do your Word, your Excel, and your Microsoft Word, or this whole idea of wearable computing is the next great big thing. We don't even have an idea what that wearable computing is.
Well, look, wearable computing is...
You know where I would really like to see this go? Give me good holographic displays. Pop-up holographic displays.
But I'm not even down that sort of line. I'm kind of more like, it'd be really useful? A watch that had full-out GPS screen. Really simple. You know, if I could make a phone call on it and it had GPS on my watch, I wouldn't want anything else. You know what I mean? I could make a phone call and a GPS on it. I wouldn't want anything else. And I'll check my email when I get to the office. Right? I'm already wearing a watch anyway, so let's get rid of the phone. Let's simplify. I think the future of wearable tech is simplification.
I agree with you, and it's not these great big monstrosities that are strapped to your head or phones that are tethered to your watch.
Yeah. Don't give me more stuff in order to do what I'm already doing. Make my life simpler.
That's why I was saying holographic displays. Pop-up holographic displays. Nice and simple, clean interface. You'd be back basically, but different shades of pixelization, luminescence, whatever. That is more of a sense of wearable computing than, Minority Report, I hate using that, but that's what is productive. Not a watch tethered to a phone where you're getting duplication and total uselessness.
Again, simplify my life, okay? I either carry something in my pocket or I wear something on my wrist. One or the other, not both. Okay? So let's take a nice curved screen, fit it to the shape of my forearm, and I'll wear it like little bands.
Okay? Yeah. Yes.
And let that replace the watch and the phone and have all the functionality right there, right?
That would make sense.
UI is easy, right? The control is touch. Holding it, I never have to worry about dropping it. It's right there like a little band.
And you could still have a pop-up holographic display.
Pop-up, you can still have whatever the hell you want, but it's simplification.
Yes.
Right. I hate adding more devices to my routine where all they do is stress me out. And again, this comes back to the whole watch thing, right? Give me a watch that does stuff, but if it's going to do it, then let me not require a phone. One or the other. Simplify my life. The first person that can come out and simplify my life with these devices, I will throw money at you, because what I want to be carrying as little as possible and be as productive as possible with the minimum amount of fuss and the minimum amount of intrusion on my life.
Like the idea, I love that idea of a communication bracelet, okay? And tie that in with Google Now or Microsoft Cortana, a pop-up holographic display, and you've got it made. You've got everything right there on your wrist. It's perfect.
Dude, if they come out with that enough, I'd fucking let them embed it in my wrist. I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't. I'm all about... I don't know, for some reason in tech, we seem to forget KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, right? Keep it simple. The iWatch looks nice. It's got lots of, hundreds of variations by the time you do the screens and the colors and the straps and all that sort of shit. But it doesn't make my life any simpler. It makes my life more complex, and it makes messaging more intrusive on my world. As somebody who deals in computers all day long, and when I'm off the clock, unless it's a really, really important client, I don't want to be interrupted, right? I don't want that intrusion on my life. I want to be able to put my hands in my pockets and stroll down the street. I want to be able to, drink a beer and eat popcorn. And if I see, and I don't want my watch fucking with that, right? I don't want to have to put my watch on fucking silent or do not disturb when I go into the cinema.
Yeah, it should be smart enough to know what you're doing.
I just... Simple is beautiful. Some point in tech, we lost track of that. Well,
a
rant on a podcast a long time ago, back when I was living in Denmark, with a guy called Rex Dixon. And we were talking back then about how everything was merging, because back then we were just moving from feature phones to really smartphones, and I was talking about, a lot of these devices are jack of all trades, master of none, right?
Yeah.
Give me one good device that simplifies my life. I don't care if it's in my pocket or on my wrist, just one, and make it good at what it does. That's it. I will throw money at you hand over fist.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think this road of we're going down with the iWatch or the Oculus Rift, it's muddying the waters. It really is. It's just making things more difficult. And I agree with you. We need to if we're so good at tech, why are we making it so complex?
That was the big promise of home computing. That was the big promise of computers. It's going to simplify your life. Well, you know what it hasn't done? It hasn't simplified anybody's life. It has increased productivity.
Yeah, because we're working every 24 hours a day now.
And we have devices with us where we're working everywhere, right? And that's that's an employer's dream. By God, I'll give you a phone, son, and I'll pay you for 8 hours a day, but I know damn well that you're probably going to do 13 hours a day.
Yep.
And you're going to be checking your work email and the whole lot, right? The point was to make everybody's life easier and simpler so that we'll have more leisure and relaxing time. What has happened is we've increased productivity, but we've also increased the amount of time now that we're working as well. We have reduced the amount of available leisure time for the most part, unless you actually take active steps. That's why I won't be buying a smartwatch. I will buy a smartwatch when
they're smart.
I can replace the device in my pocket with it.
Yeah, I agree with you. All righty, I think we'll call it tonight.
Oh, I do have a tip. For everybody.
All right.
All right. So a lot of sites are misreporting this, including The Verge. Shame on you. Sorry, not The Verge. All right, sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned The Verge, but a lot of big sites are misreporting this, okay? There has been 5 million passwords leaked that are associated with Gmail accounts. However, they are not the passwords to Gmail accounts unless you're using the same password everywhere. They've basically aggregated accounts from other sites with the passwords that were used on other sites, but they're all Gmail. Isleaked.com. Go there, type in your Gmail address, and it will tell you whether or not an email address and a password, if there's a password associated with your email address in the list of 5 million. I went and I did mine. And there was a password associated with it. And it tells you the first 2 letters of the password that is associated with it. The password that was associated, is a very old password that I never, ever had in Gmail. So it was like picked up off some old forum or something like that. And I change my passwords regularly. But this is ancient. I mean, I couldn't even remember when I used a password that had any semblance to this one. So if you're worried at all, if you're the kind of person that uses the same password everywhere, then you need to go to isleak.com, put in your Gmail address, and it'll tell you whether or not there's a password associated on file. And if there's not, then just remember that you still should be changing your passwords regularly anyway. Also on this site, if you're worried about them tracking whether or not you looked up their email address, you can actually put in your Gmail address, and you can obscure characters with asterisks so that they're not entered, and it'll still do a pattern match, and it'll tell you how many email addresses came up that fit this pattern so that, so you'll know. So yeah, if you're worried at all in any way, shape, or form, isleaked.com.
Cool. Thank you, bud. And I'll make sure I add that into the show notes for tomorrow. But folks, thank you for joining Paul and myself, and hopefully next week we'll be back with 3 of us. But for now, take care. Everybody have a good evening. And remember, the most important rule in life, keep it geek. You have been listening to the Geek Dimensions On-Air podcast with Stephen Hodson, Paul O'Flaherty, and David Gall. You can send any feedback about this or any of our other episodes to feedback@geekdimensions.com or by leaving a comment on the post. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus as Geek Dimensions. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Blueberry, and podcastpd.org, or you can use our RSS feed for the show. The music used in the show is Metro by Sleek Thief. The On-Air podcast is the official podcast of Geek Dimensions and everyone living a geek's life.